G'day, how you going? So if you've seen my last video, you would have seen that I really struggled with light. Well, with noise really more than anything. I went to that Lanes Festival. You've seen the video, you'll see that I had a lot of problems with noise, especially with my Micro Four Thirds camera. I brought the Micro Four Thirds camera on one night and then the full frame Sony camera on the second night. Now obviously everyone says that full frame is better than Micro Four Thirds. I think it's true, obviously. The physics behind it, the larger lens sensor. In fact, I even forgot to use the DxO Pure Raw AI noise reduction software on the full frame camera because when I chucked it in my editing software, I didn't really notice it that much. I mean, there was noise there, but it was manageable. But I tell you what, with the Micro Four Thirds, it was, chalk and cheese. You could just see like it was the color noise and the light noise was just really so bad. You had to put it through DxO. Now, I really should have prepared really ahead of time. I should have really known that it was going to be dark, and I shouldn't have just relied on DxO to get me out of, trouble. I mean, even though it's amazing, you should do the best you can to minimize the noise. I really should have bought a faster lens. That's the first thing that, you should think of before you go out at night. The faster, the better. Now, in my predicament, I like zooms. I like zooming in. I just get a better composition, especially with event photography and even street photography at night. I can really zoom in on the performer's face. I can step back if there's a shitload of people there, a heap of crowd. I just like zooms, you know me. With the Micro Four Thirds, I had the 14 to 150. Now, obviously, if you like shooting with primes, that would have been like, say, a 50mm 1.8, which I've got. I should have used that. I even have a 50mm 1.4, sorry, 25mm, bloody Micro Four Thirds. I keep thinking in full frame now. But anyway, that 50mm 1.4 from Panasonic would have been perfect, actually. But like I said before, I like zooms. So maybe the 12 to 100 would have been an optimum one. I think that's f4 all the way. And then for the full frame, I had the 24 to 240, and that's at 3.5 to 6.3. Now that was all right. That's not too bad. You can get away with 3.5 to 6.3 on full frame. I mean, the lower the better, but then if you do that on a zoom, you're going to be out here on full frame, I don't want to walk around like that. I mean, especially if you're a professional, fair enough, but I'm only just amateur mucking around, and I don't want to compromise. Now, alternatively, another thing you could have done was bring a light source. I saw one of the pros there, the guys walking around, that the council hired for event photography. He had a lightsaber, like a Star Wars lightsaber beam. He wasn't using flash because he was doing a lot of video as well. So, and to add more light to the scenario, to the scene, to a certain extent, because it's not a torch, it's not a bloody beam. Have one of those lightsabers, or even bring a flash. Even, I guess you could bring a flash. I've never done that, flash on the street. Maybe one day. It's just that it brings a lot of attention to you. Yeah. So there's three scenarios. There's the light source, there's the shutter speed, and there's the aperture. So light source, you can't do anything about that. That's going to be fixed. So whatever you've got available around you, the lights on stage, the street lights, just the ambient light that's around. I mean, if it's a full moon, even better. And then there's the aperture we talked about, the lower the better, obviously. And the third one is shutter speed. Now that's the one that you really have the control over, and that's why I put it in shutter priority on both of them. There is that other trick where you can minimum ISO shutter speed, but I think shutter priority is the best because on the night, everything's moving, the people on stage, they're moving. Some are moving slower than others. Like some of the folk singers were just sitting there, like Bob Dylan, practically falling asleep. some of the girls were like jumping around like jelly beans. So shutter speed really is your best friend then on the night. Now, lower it to get better ISO, lower ISO, better quality. Increase it to freeze the action. So really you're screwed either way, because if you lower it to get better noise, you're going to get blurry images, because everyone moves. Everyone, especially unless it's a landscape. What choice do you have? But then if you increase the shutter speed to stop the motion, or at least get past the reciprocal rule, because if I'm at 1/150 or 240 here, I got to shoot minimum 240 speed. And if you're shooting at minimum 1/250, you're going to freeze the action, but your ISO is going to go through the roof. So one guy I watch, remember, Simon d'Entremont. What a name, Simon d'Entremont. You know him from Canada, the landscape guy. He calls it feathering the shutter speed. So you got to find that balance. It's really the shutter speed that's the and then obviously in the back of your head, you got that that get out of jail card. DxO will save my ass. DxO Pure Raw 5. It really does save your ass. I tell you now, all of the shots on here were useless. The noise was that bad. But like Simon d'Entremont says, you got to feather the shutter speed. Play around with it. The other thing you got to worry about is autofocus. So there's a lot of times where you got to flip over to manual focus, because trying to autofocus at night is really hard. Ironically, it's the Micro Four Thirds which was better. From my experience anyway, because the Olympus kicked ass over the Sony in a lot of scenarios. Not that many, because there was enough available light, but in the really, really low dark light, the good old trusty EM5 Mark II saved the day, really. And to sum it up, really, the faster the lens, the better, and you got to compromise, that's the word, and feather that shutter speed and get the balance just right. So always chimp, have a look, chimp. Yep, that's acceptable sharpness. It's not going to be pinpoint, especially if you got a scenario, chimp and go, right, that shutter speed's useless. ISO what the hell? And come to a compromise. Coming to a compromise with the light. It's like, it's almost biblical. You're coming to a compromise with God. Anyway, that's it. So I haven't really been shooting that much lately, so I haven't really made that many videos. But when I do get the urge to go out and have a photo walk or whatever, I'll try and make a video. I do a lot of photo walks, but I just don't put it on YouTube anymore, because I've kind of if you tell you the truth, I've kind of given up on the whole algorithm, man. I'm not getting the views. I'm getting 100 views for a video that took me a bloody week to make. So the effort just isn't there anymore. So if I do make something a bit more interesting, I'll put it up. But a lot of the photo walks I do go on, I don't bother filming it anymore. So, but anyway, you don't really care. I'll catch you on the next one.